I think I remember you recently sharing with a small group of volunteers about calling on somebody who had over and over donated auction items and seeing them recently. Would you share with viewers that experience of calling on somebody who had just recently experienced through a family member a heart disease incident? I think at the moment you were walking into the shop.
Yes, we just recently, my wife and I live in Pawleys Island, and so we have had the opportunity to meet some new business owners just in the last couple of years. And as you said earlier, it was an opportunity to include them. And so as I walked into the shop, this person, one of the owners of the shop, had just gotten a call that someone who was very close to her had died of a heart attack. And she was obviously very upset. And so we had the opportunity to talk, and it was just an interesting timing. And she, interestingly enough, was comforted by the fact that I was there, and she thought, it's just incredible that I showed up when I did.
Divine intervention.
Interesting,
right.
Absolutely,
Sure.
just an interesting coincidence. And she was very positive about it, and I hope that they're going to, be able to participate.
Whether it's any of those 1,000 folks in the room, virtually everyone there has in some way or another experienced heart disease or stroke. Somebody they know or love or am in school with or have studied under has been impacted by heart disease and stroke. It impacts too many people for them not to be associated. That's why we see year after year sold out event, and it really is an opportunity for people to step up to the plate to make that commitment. But for people who are donating auction items and getting those donor forms or the nice auction tents, this is a real opportunity to get in front of 1,000 people.
It is, absolutely.
Fixed opportunity for them to see your logo or to see your name associated with an auction item.
The support from the medical community is incredible as well. I mean, they come out in droves. And as you said earlier, Dr. Andy Gresco is one of our co-chairs this year, and he and his wife Patty really put this event on the map. I mean,
Right.
it has grown, just incredibly. This is the 13th annual, and so just over the years, it's grown to, as you said, 1,000 guests. I mean, just a big event, big deal for everyone, and it's at the forefront of everyone's social calendar. I feel like it's, the place to be.
And right after Valentine's this year, almost always in the last few years in March, or even mid-March, and of course to see the return back to a couple of days after Valentine could be a great Valentine present.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
For a business owner or otherwise to buy a table or so to thank many of his or her employees, or also that opportunity for a loved one to buy something to treat a spouse or significant other.
Certainly, and with the sponsorship opportunities that you mentioned before, it's not only good press, it's not only the right thing to do, but it's an opportunity to attend the event and to take coworkers, clients, whatever, friends, family, whatever, for a great night. It really is.
Break down a typical gala night, Todd, for viewers who may not have attended in the past. Of course, in our viewing area, there's one in Florence, there's one up in Darlington. They're all over, some up in Fayetteville. But, of course, for this area, for Horry and Georgetown County, this is the big event of the year, the premier event of the year. What's a typical evening like? I believe it's a 6 to midnight event.
Yes. Well, first on the agenda are cocktails, hors d'oeuvres, just an opportunity to gather and see friends. And during that same time, of course, the silent auction is an important piece. And so we start the bidding earlier to get the most out of that, and just some great items. We always have an incredible auction, and it has grown each year as well. And so that's a big part of that first part of the evening. And close to 8 o'clock, we're seated for dinner, and always just a great menu. I think this year some of the salmon,
filet and salmon I saw,
lobster ravioli. So,
that's right.
Good stuff. And so great food. And following dinner, there's kind of a welcome and just an opportunity to for the sponsors and whatnot to be thanked, and just exactly what we're doing there, what the money will be raised for. And that's a great thing. It's good to hear how that money is going to be put to use. And then we'll start with the live auction, which is one of the highlights of the evening. 5 or 6 of the most exciting items up for bid or auction are featured there, and we'll have David Bennett. Coach David Bennett is our auctioneer this year.
Is that right?
That's
Coach out
really
of Coastal,
cool.
yeah.
Absolutely. So we're very excited about that opportunity. And Diane Devon Stokes is our host for the evening. She's going to be emceeing the event. and she's graciously agreed to do that. And so, really an all-star cast, and it's just going to be a great night, a lot of fun. And then we finished with the band, Jumpstart, live band, and dancing, and lots of fun. So,
Jumpstart is playing this
yes.
year, and they were in last year.
They were. So those who have attended the event should certainly be familiar, and they're always a crowd pleaser.
And I think there's some benefits of signing up not only early, but also signing up for a good sponsorship level of getting preferred seating around the dance floor and having potentially a little better, albeit every seat in the house is a great seat. Every seat in there is a great seat.
And just to bring up, the timing is a little different. As you said, the event's earlier this year, and so want to encourage our returning sponsors and new sponsors alike. Go ahead and get that information in. Go ahead and get your forms in, get your check in, so that you can enjoy this preferred seating and you can enjoy as much exposure as possible through different advertising.
And the number again is 843-626-3939.
That's right.
Easy one to remember, 626-3939, and they're there all the time. And if they're not there, I know your 241-7218 number, but also to leave a message for folks who want to get that auction form to donate an item to get in front of 1,000 people, or if they want to get a sponsor, a proposal or sponsor package, mail back out to them. So many of the returning sponsors got packages over the holidays. Hopefully they're pouring through those over the last couple of weeks and will quickly get those in. But as you said, we still have 5 weeks to take advantage of some of the TV airtime, the print space, and other radio time donated to really make this event successful. What's the goal this year, Todd?
We are shooting for $395,000.
Oh, come on.
So it's the biggest year yet. And
$395,000? That's insane.
But our volunteers are really going after it. We have Renee Minkin is heading up our sponsorship efforts as the chair of that committee. Shannon Camp is our auction chair. And I mean, they're just doing a great job and really going after it. And so I feel like we're just going to have the best year ever.
We're going to see it happen. Now, of course, you're familiar with the auction, Todd.
Yes.
You've been the auction chair of the last 5 years, I guess 4 of the last 5?
I believe so, yes.
Mary Jo Rogers stepped in one year, which was a tremendous year, and we've seen back-to-back growth year after year.
Yeah, she's just awesome. So, yeah.
What does an auction normally raise?
Anywhere from, I think the first year that I was involved at all, about 50,000.
Right.
And this last year, I think we hit 150.
Is that right? Golly.
I can't swear.
At least north of $100,000.
Yes.
Which is a lot.
Of 100,000.
Last year there was a '76 Eldorado Caddy convertible. I think only 20,000 miles donated.
Leo Van Veen.
Yes. Which was very kind donation.
Generous.
Of course, Redline Power Sports is back on board this year. I hate to even mention any of them, because all of them are so important. Whether it's a lamp or a light from Myrtle Beach Lighting, or a Segway from a Redline Power Sports, or a Caddy. That's right. At all levels, and you've got to have the small ones to help fill up the room.
That's right. Well, and every guest is different. Their needs are different. Their interests are different, and their budget's different. Right. So we may say, oh, well, I can contribute. I can bid on this item that's $100, as opposed to someone else is perhaps looking at a Segway or a golf cart, something along those lines.
Year after year, the Heart Bowl also has tremendous decorations, right?
They do. Dandelion and Rita Siegel Levine. She's just so creative and so generous, and year after year she comes out with just the most innovative of decorations, and really brings the room alive. It's important.
And this year particularly tough for her with Valentine's right before him, but she doesn't flinch and
very brave.
She quickly steps up. You say very brave. She quickly steps up to the plate and commits whatever the date is. I bet she'd probably do it if it was on Valentine's. Knowing Rita,
she would. That'd be tough.
She'd find.
We'd probably all be crazy, but she'd step up, I think.
And how about the 40? We just got a couple of minutes, Todd. The 48 hours leading up to it for you and all the other volunteers, and it is so key. There is still room for volunteers to step up if they called you or called the Heart Association office.
Certainly, critical things that have to happen every year. We're subject to the hotel or the space that we are taking advantage of. They have other perhaps groups that come in, and so we never know how much lead time we're going to have. we've had, the earliest is Friday. We can get in the day before. But we've had times where there's been an event in our auction rooms and whatnot at 12 o'clock the day of the event.
No.
And so the turnaround is just incredible, and it really matters, the number of people that you have coming out, transporting items from wherever they've been stored, whether it be the office of American Heart Association or individual volunteers or, the donors themselves, and getting all that stuff together and displayed in a pleasing manner,
Right.
decorations and just kind of setting things up. So the auction is a big piece of that. But then also we have to set up the ballroom from the standpoint of making sure that the audiovisual equipment and
Right.
making sure that the sponsorships, that their signage is correct,
Right.
and that we have the correct number of chairs at each place settings, chairs, at each table. Some tables are for 8, some are for 10, and all those little details. It's the night of the event, it matters because everyone's ready to get there and have a good time. And if you have 2 more guests than you have chairs, that's a problem. So every little detail, really, in that last 48 hours starts to come together. Program, just making sure that everything is taken care of. There are inserts for programs if you have additional auction items and whatnot. The decorations, that's when, because obviously an event of this magnitude, the decorations involve a lot of fresh flowers and that sort of thing. So as we mentioned, Rita, those hours are critical for her and her volunteers because you got to put those fresh flowers together at virtually the last minute. So.
It is virtually the last minute. Speaking of that, we've run out of time. Todd, thanks so much for being with us this morning. Thanks for volunteering as always. Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Todd Harms coming up next. The key word really is volunteers. To put on an event to raise $395,000, you've got to have dedicated volunteers. Todd Harms, Andy Gresco, all the volunteers. You can't even begin naming them. Rita Siegel, Levine, we talked about. Obviously, Renee Minkin and Shannon Camp, and even the hard-working staff of the Heart Association. Tammy Eves, year after year, puts it on and works so hard. But it is key volunteers. There's still room and there's still opportunity to volunteer. Call the Heart Association office at 843-626-3939 or Todd at 241-7218. They want you to call. They need some help. We have less than 5 weeks. You can be a part of helping to fight heart disease and stroke. Give them a call.